Welcome back to Fixing My Faith. My name is Vern, and today I'm sharing a part of the journey that I'm on. And I started this journey a little over 12 months ago when I started exploring why I felt certain ways, basically why I was always angry. And I found out I was in a trance still, even after being out of the Jehovah's Witness religion for 10 years. So last January, I started doing the research on my own and digging deep into what got me into the trance. And it was a simple word like the truth will set you free, or we have the truth, and in the truth, you're out of the truth. Playing with that word, this one religion, Jehovah's Witnesses, were able to make a religion out of it. And when I was young, I got trapped into that religion. Went down a rabbit hole. Nothing's really a trap. I think everything in life, when I look back, it was all the spiritual journey. And had I not went down that journey, I wouldn't be sitting here today talking to you guys. So everything, I think, has a purpose, has a reason. I try to look at my life that way. And now when I'm researching and exploring the different avenues of spirituality, you'll notice over the last 6 months, I had some videos I put out questioning the Bible, questioning the Apostle Paul, questioning because I'm stepping outside of religion and I want to reconcile. Why is Paul harsh and Jesus is loving? Why? Why do we have the two? Who do I follow? So I the more I study the Bible, the Christian Bible, the more I get lost in all the different ways of looking at it. If you want to go to war, Yahweh, Jehovah, is a God of war. Ecclesiastes says there's a time for war. So Romans 13:1 says to obey the superior authorities. If they say go to war, go to war. What do I believe? You see, I can look at this Bible as a Jehovah's Witness and I can say, oh, no, war is bad. If we're going to follow Jesus, we can't go to war because Jesus didn't go to war. Jesus practiced love. But then Jehovah's Witness elders get together and a guy like me speaks up and says, well, excuse me, what about this? Oh, you're out the door. So they kick you out and they say, oh, we're not going to use Jesus' words here, but we're going to use the Apostle Paul because you're a reviler. You cause issues. You've always written letters to the circuit overseers. You're always causing us issues. You're always standing up to the elders. We got to get you out of here. And you see, that's what the Apostle Paul enables these religions to kick the revilers out. But Jesus, on the other hand, says to the prostitute, I'm not going to throw the stone. And she's a prostitute. So Paul, on the other hand, says stone her, kick her out. There's no organization within the Jehovah's Witness religion to help families out. My family went through some terrible times. I can't talk about them, but there was no help within the organization. At one time I reached out, I went out to family counseling and I was looked down upon it. I was the only one. And I took this piece of paper and I practiced it and it saved my marriage that time. And there's some good help on the outside. So if you're a Jehovah's Witness, ex-Jehovah's Witness, get some help on the outside. There's some good help. But I want to talk today about the Bible. And yesterday, my wife and I, and we find ourselves in this position now that I'm fixing my faith, that I decided to start recording this on YouTube because there's parts of my family, my own flesh and blood that I don't have a relationship with. And I may leave this earth without having that relationship, but at least if I leave a video trail, they can watch it. And I always think of my family members when I'm giving these talks. So it drives me to do this because it's my family that that I think about, and I think it's a big world, and you come out. Everyone's going to come out. The Jehovah's Witness religion is slowly crumbling. All of the onliners, and we're gonna talk about apostasy in my next video. But all the onliners that are working together hard to do this, it takes a lot of work. I realize that now, and a lot of dedication. There's a lot of people out there that have a lot of knowledge, and they become gurus in a sense to us, learning. And I find that I trust the ex Jehovah's Witnesses more than someone that's not, someone that's fringe and maybe doing an article on it. They don't understand like you do and I do, because we went through it. It's like being on the battleground together in a sense, and then we're out and we're on this side and we're like gurus here on these computers, talking to the air, picturing our audience, I guess, and sharing our journey, sharing what we're finding, and I'm really appreciative, and I'll name the names, Kim and Mikey, for really taking a lead out there, and that video that Mike did the other day on yesterday on how he's frustrated with the religions, and I did a part on that on women. And I agree. I can't reconcile how Jesus treated women in an honorable way, but yet you go to Genesis and it makes the woman look like the serpent. Now, I did some research back then, and the Jewish, I shouldn't say the Jewish because I don't know. It was this one video I watched. Friedman was his name, and he explained the soul and how Eve did the right thing. Because if you could imagine being on a cruise ship, a 5-star cruise ship for the rest of your life, you'd get sick and tired of it. Like, it's boring. Oh, come on, it's the same thing over and over again. It's paradise. Have you ever went to a resort and sat there on the beach and you sit there for a couple of hours and you look around and you wonder, what the hell am I doing here for? Like, you can only do that stuff for so long, and then you go back and try to read a book, and you can get into a good book. And so there's certain times in our lives we want to go sit on the beach and read a book, and then when we're younger we don't want to do that. We want to go play volleyball. We have all this energy. So it seems like everything, there's a time and a place for everything. But I get off track here in my discussions. But getting back to this, we're gurus. We've come out of this exjw religion. We're sharing this, and a lot of people look at our videos and they're wondering what they should do. Should we? Sorry, I got an itchy nose. Should we start get back involved? Like some of this stuff, and I agree with Mike. Some of it online, it's like getting into another JW religion. It's its own little sect. Because this one likes the Sabbath and that one doesn't like the Sabbath, or something like that. And how God's name is used. Is it used this way or that way? Well, I think I want to share what we did the research on yesterday. And Ryan started some of this stuff. And thanks to Ryan, we watched all of your videos last night on this. And we looked at Elohim. We know the truth, the Vatican Bible Translator. That was an eye-opener. I'd recommend anybody to watch that one. And we watched the merger of the two gods, El and Yahweh. And this was an eye-opener because they took the old manuscripts, these Dead Sea Scrolls. And what's interesting is in this video, he actually compared the New World Translation. And in the New World Translation, in the beginning, where God said, let us create, and they referred to us in creation, and Elohim, El, was actually the head God. So that's the God that was talking, let us because Yahweh wasn't mentioned then. It was always El at the very beginning of the Bible. You got to watch the video. Opened my eyes. And of course, when this stuff got researched in 1929, well, there's all of Christianity. Like, you can't get the Mormons to change and the Jehovah's Witnesses to change and everyone to change. No one's going to change because they're making good money off the Bible. It's a business. The Bible's become a business. And it's become control and power. And it's being manipulated along the way. So any of us coming out, when we get out and we look down on religion, we look down, we're outside, there's no shackles. That religion has no hold on me. I laugh when I look at the governing body. I don't get mad at them. They're just people, and they have no hold on me. So our relationship when we get outside is now with God. It's not with the governing body. You see, they're not our mediator. They're not our Jesus. So the governing body, if you're a Jehovah's Witness, is your Jesus. Think of it. You can't work outside the governing body. They're your Jesus. They're the faithful slave. They've taken this title on. And we're going to look at that Second Thessalonians, talking about apostasy and how the faithful slave, the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses, they are actually the ones that have apostatized. And you can go to 2 Thessalonians 2 and verse 2, where I'm going to cover that whole chapter. It deserves its own video. But they're actually the apostatizing ones, the man of lawlessness. That's the way I read it when you look at it. You see, when you get on the other side, you start looking at this stuff openly. But when you're on the inside, you're protecting. You're using all of these scriptures as ammunition, as a sword fight. And my wife said to me, she says, when I met you, all you were using the Bible is for a sword fight, because of course I was going through a divorce and it was a sword fight with the Bible. And that's what it is when you're a Jehovah's Witness. You're using that Bible as a sword every day. And that's not the intention of the Bible. It's a holy book. So that's what I'm learning as we learn. So my wife and I decided, okay, well, that's enough of that. What are we going to do? Become atheist? We didn't want, because we feel spiritual, and we all have this feeling inside, like there's something, and there's a connection. And I know through my life, I've seen something helping me, almost like there's a helper in the room, something. And so I'm not willing to give up that easy yet. So I'm looking around. So we start looking around. We looked at how the universe was created according to Hinduism. There is an interesting video. It's all based on science, and the numbers make sense because they're talking trillions of years, and then it makes sense with science. And this is one of the only religions that really matches up to science. So we looked at an introduction last night, and we were up until 3 a.m. doing the full introduction to Hinduism. And that's why I'm so excited. I'm going to share a bit of that with you. It is a parallel to a lot of the stuff in the Bible. That I'm seeing a direct parallel. But the difference with Hinduism and other religions is that Hinduism doesn't put you in a box. It doesn't have a set of rules. In fact, it shows that under the umbrella of Hinduism, there's actually 10,000 beliefs. And these beliefs are people like you and I that have a spiritual connection to God. And we have a belief. We have a belief in something. And we base our belief, you and I base it on the Holy Scriptures, the Bible. And according to Hinduism, all these holy books all over the earth are different ways to God, to the Supreme One. And then, by the way, the Hindus only have one God. You see, I was led to believe that they have all these other gods. Well, no, they have one supreme God. And then they have other gods, just like Christianity. There's one supreme God, and then there's Jesus, another God. And then there's Michael the Archangel, another kind of God. These angels are gods. You see, so Hinduism is not different, just different names, different places in the earth. And we look at Muslims, they believe in the same kind of thing as the Jewish faith. Muslim to me was, I looked into that, was like being a Jehovah's Witness, lots of rules. You're living in a box, but it's a cool religion. I thought there's nothing wrong with it. I'll go down to Mecca, a lot of energy. And the Hindus believe that the reason they want to go to the temple is because when people are praying, there's energy, and they believe in the energy. And people praying to the same purpose, with everything the same, it multiplies your energies. And we talked about that on this channel in relationship to the Bible. In Ecclesiastes, it says two is better than one. So when you get two people working together with the same energy, and the third energy is your purpose or your God, and you get all those energies working together, there's a lot of power. So could you imagine a whole room full of people with the same purpose and the same belief? I never experienced that as a Jehovah's Witness. So there's a lot of different things. I wrote down a lot of things here. I could probably just paraphrase it a lot quicker and you can watch these videos on your own. But they went through the four principles, and the four principles. And when they were talking about karma, it was just like hearing it from Jesus. Maybe I'll play that little one, 10:10. Let's look at the four principles. I'm going to go right here, 10:10. There.
Next section is entitled Four Basic Principles. One way to gain a simple, though admittedly simplistic, overview is to understand the four essential beliefs shared by the vast majority of Hindus: karma, reincarnation, all-pervasive divinity, and dharma. We could say that living by these four principles is what makes a person a Hindu. The first basic principle is karma. Karma literally means deed or act, and more broadly names the universal principle of cause and effect, action and reaction, which governs all life. Karma is a natural law of the mind, just as gravity is a law of matter. Karma is not fate, for man acts with free will, creating his own destiny. The Vedas tell us if we sow goodness, we will reap goodness. If we sow evil, we will reap evil. Karma refers to the totality of our actions and their concomitant reactions in this and previous lives, all of which determines our future. It is the interplay between our experience and how we respond to it that makes karma devastating or helpfully invigorating. The conquest of karma lies in intelligent action and dispassionate reaction. Not all karmas rebound immediately. Some accumulate and return unexpectedly in this or other births. The Vedas explain, according as one acts, so does he become. One becomes virtuous by virtuous action, bad by bad action. Yajurveda Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. The second basic principle is reincarnation.
So that gives you kind of a little idea of what this video is about. I'll let you venture into it if you wish, but I found it fascinating. And I found when I started going through this, I found so many similarities to Jesus and how Jesus worked, not the Apostle Paul and not any of the other Abraham and Moses and those guys. I found this a direct parallel to Jesus. And if it makes me wonder from listening to what Mike was saying and Ryan, that perhaps Jesus got his ideas from a pantheon of gods from the Canaanites. And when you do the research, it's not a bad thing. The Canaanites were a seed of Abraham. They were a group, I think. Ryan would know more about that. I haven't researched that. But now that we get outside of religion and we start looking at other religions, other faiths, we start to see parallels. Now, the other thing that I was fascinated with the Hindu religion is that it's the oldest religion on earth. It's the oldest out of any of the religions out there if you do your research. And it brings it out here. Age, it's on the 2119. Where is that? He brings it out nicely, this guy. And I find him nice to listen to.
Representing 1 year of human life.
So he's just basing it on a 100-year scale, doing the
Viewed
age.
this way, Sikhism, the youngest faith, is 5 years old. Islam, the only teenager, is 14. Christianity just turned 20. Buddhism, Taoism, Jainism, and Confucianism are 25. Zoroastrianism is 26. Shintoism is in its late 20s. And Judaism is a mature 37. Hinduism, whose birthday remains unknown, is at least 80 years old, the white bearded grandfather of living spirituality on this planet.
So there you have it. This religion is like 3 times older than the next oldest religion. It's the oldest on earth. So there's a lot of wisdom packed into this religion, and it's worth investigating once we come out of religion as an XJW or a JW, and even if you're in the religion, I think the more we research and look into these other faiths, and let's look for commonality, let's look for similarities. And I want to show you one other thing, 5136. I'll just go up here. There it is. So I had a lot of videos, and one of my very first videos and my beefs about the Jehovah's Witness religion was that the amount of magazines they print, the amount of trees that are cut down to print all those magazines worldwide. And if you add it up to all this false propaganda that Russell started, Rutherford wrote books, 400 million of his books went out, and all the Jehovah's Witnesses hopping in their cars, and all the pollution and gasoline going into the atmosphere, all of this pollution, and not one act of replenishing the earth, not one tree planted by this organization, nothing. And when we look at the toxic chemicals they were burying at the farms for years, and then they finally got caught, and we think how this organization works, and it has no regard for the earth at all. And in fact, the more I investigate it, and I find out that they're into all this big business, and they hide things under this Henrietta Trust Fund, so it doesn't show up Watchtower, but then they get the revenue. And they don't care if it's war weapons or whatever. You see, the unrighteous riches to the Watchtower doesn't matter. Unrighteous riches. And yet for 30 years, they told me that unrighteous riches were bad. But yet here they are doing this very thing since the day of Russell. And we put out a lot of podcasts on Russell and Rutherford and how they had the gold mine, the secret gold mine. And this has been going on since the very beginning. If you're a Jehovah's Witness watching this, do your research, because it's an eye-opener. And it's all on this channel, all the XJW community. You can learn this. So anyways, this is interesting. Here's what the Hindus think about the earth.
With our environment, peace between people, and compassion within ourselves. Devout followers tend to be vegetarian and seek to protect the environment. Many individuals of all faiths are concerned about our environment and properly preserving it for future generations. Hindus share this concern.
So it goes on and it shows that they pick garbage up and do a lot of stuff. And I was reading some other articles where they have to, I think it's part in some of the faiths anyways, like there's 10,000 different kind of Hindu faiths, but they make it a ritual where they have to plant so many trees a year or to replenish the toilet paper they're using and the paper they're using. And I think that's fabulous to be a part of a group of people. And the beauty of this, here's the beauty, here's the clincher to this whole Hindu faith thing. I'm going to go to 5334. You're going to like this. 5334, right here.
And he can change it in the course of his lifetime. There is no is that encourages free and open thought.
There.
Scriptures and gurus encourage followers to inquire and investigate into the nature of truth, to explore worshipful inner and meditative regimens to directly experience the divine.
So so the gurus, he talks about the gurus. Gurus are normally like family members that rise up in the family. So you know how each family seems to have one person that's spiritual, and family to family. I don't know if that's how it was in our family. I seemed to be the one that was the spiritual one, and I wanted to know more about the Bible. And my great aunt was actually a nun, a Catholic nun. And she was in the nunneries, and she taught in these residential schools here in Canada, and she quit. And my dad said she wouldn't tell anybody why she quit, but she was so disgusted, and she almost quit the faith, but she didn't quit the faith. She kept going to church, and in the very end, they got every last cent out of her, and it was a sad story, but that's another day. But anyways, the guru, I became like the spiritual guru. I went Jehovah's Witness, and everyone in the family, I knew the Bible. They'd come to me and they'd phone me, and if there was a funeral, I was no one in the Jehovah's Witness religion. I wasn't an elder. I was no one. But yet, to my family, I was a guru, and they would come to me with all kinds of questions. And here I am online, still being a guru. And when I look at it, all of us online, we're a guru in a sense. We're just like this. But the beauty is with this religion is they encourage everyone to gain knowledge, to gain wisdom. This faith encourages education, and it encourages you to seek out the truth that works for you. You find spirituality. That's what these guys are saying. Let's listen to it.
This openness is at the root of Hinduism's famed tolerance of other cultures, religions, and points of view, capsulated in the adage, Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti, meaning truth is one, the wise describe it in different ways. The Hindu is free to choose his path, his way of approaching the divine, and he can change it in the course of his lifetime. There is no heresy or apostasy in Hinduism. This
So when we seen this last night, it was 3 a.m, and my wife and I jumped up. No, no apostasy. No, no, you're not a heretic. They encourage spiritual searching. And I just think that's the greatest thing. That's the way it should be. And so I'll put a link to this in this video description. I would recommend this was an introduction to Hinduism. Hinduism Today's videos. They have 67,000 subscribers. This video was viewed 324,000 times. So I was looking for that last night because there's so much stuff out there. And now that I know that there's like 10,000 different ways of faiths, but now I know like really spirituality, and they understand this, the oldest religion on earth, that spirituality is a personal thing. And you and I each have to find our way through this world and find our own spirituality. And the fact that you're online looking at this video means you're searching, and that you are like a spiritual guru yourself, and yet you're searching for spirituality. Now, you could be not even caring, and I compare it to my different brothers, and I love all of my brothers, but my one brother, his journey this time around is to pursue running businesses and running all these guys, and maybe there's $1 million out there, but he hasn't quite caught it yet. And that's a problem with chasing the almighty dollar. And you do that for a day or two and you realize it's just chasing your tail. And you can have a big business, but you just have all more headaches and more expenses, and you don't make any more money. But everyone wants to go big and make lots. And so what I learned through this video, and I learned through my own spiritual journey, that while I was a Jehovah's Witness, I was not really fully connected to the doctrines, because I always felt I was on my own journey and I was doing different things and exploring unassigned territory and stuff. And I enjoyed that part of the aspect of the witnesses. I feel I was trapped all those years because I wasn't really allowing myself, I wouldn't allow myself to go outside the religion and explore all these other faiths and ideas. So yeah, I get going and I get carried away when I get into some of this stuff, but it is exciting. And I encourage you guys to reach out and do some research, look at this stuff yourself. And that's what spirituality is really about. It's a personal journey, and we're all seeking a truth, and we're searching for God. And the more we learn about how the Christian religion was put together, we realize a lot of it was done by men to control men and to control women, put them off to the side. But what's interesting about the Hindu faith is they don't look at any religion as bad. They look at all spirituality on earth as something that's good and something worth pursuing in your own culture. So here we are, we're Christians, but we're outside of religion and we still want to pursue spirituality. And so here we can get some ideas. We don't have to become Hindu, we don't have to learn all these things. But even within their own faith, they say you find a figure, and they use like Krishna or some different figures, they're gods, just like Jesus. So Jesus to us as a Christian is a god. And so you find a figure. I find Jesus. I'm going to pick Jesus out of the Bible, and there's the man God kind of figure that I'm going to look at because I like how he did things. I like how he turned over money tables in the Jewish temple because they had a big business going there. It was all money, and that's what religion is today. So Jesus, to me, sets the example for what we're doing. He was the guru of his time. I'm following him. I'm gonna, if I find that the Watchtower is investing into war things, I don't care if it's $10 you're getting. They're getting unrighteous riches, and they preached to me for 30 years that that was wrong. And here they're doing it. So they're hypocrites. But that's what false prophets do. And I think that's where we all have to just wake up and realize that these guys are false prophets and they want you to worship them. So I choose to worship Jesus, and I like how he dealt with different people. And he was kind, and he didn't condone prostitution, but he said to her, he says, "You're forgiven." He says, "Go your way, don't do it again." You know, that's how he was. He was just a good guy. And I think if I'm going to represent something, and I know about the Christian religion, I'm going to represent Jesus. The Apostle Paul, not so much, but I'll use his words. He said some stuff, and I realized his game. His game was to organize these Gentiles and get a business going, get a religion going. I call religions businesses. Constantine took that the next mile, realized that these Christians are all martyring themselves, they're all killing themselves. But yet his army, when they'd come up against a big force, they'd all run. And he was losing so many battles if you do the research. And then one day he decided, we need something different. So he has his dream, so he says, and a vision from Christ. So he says, and he painted red cross on all the shields, and he told the men, Christ is with you. And well, it's a psychological game. And if someone's with you, someone's watching you, someone's guiding you, you are going to go to your extremity, to your death. And that's the martyrdom of Jehovah's Witnesses today in Russia, in Germany. And they feel good about getting killed. You see, the Jews didn't want to go in those concentration camps. There was 6 million of them, but there was 1,400 Jehovah's Witnesses that wanted to set that example. Hitler didn't want to put them in there, but they just got in the way, so he did that. Now in Russia, it's the same thing. They want to go door to door. I want to be a martyr. You don't have to be. But Constantine needed that in his army. The governing body needs this in their army. They need martyrs because martyrs is what builds this spirit of martyrdom. Constantine used it, and they won wars by having a bunch of martyrs. And they'd just go, and no one could beat them. And he started winning battles, and they all became Christian because Jesus is with them. Jesus wants them to kill, and that's the thing. See, so they're playing with psychology of people, And if people don't believe someone's watching them, if there's not a camera in the store watching and a camera over there, people tend to steal more. And but you put the cameras in and they think they're being watched. They could be dummy cameras. Half the cameras out there are fake, by the way. We have old junk cameras as security dealers. We give them to vendors. Sometimes you sell them. They're real cameras, but they just don't work anymore, and they're fake. But people, once they're watched, they change. It's a completely different person. And I think political rulers, religious leaders, they realize this. They're smart. But now we're outside of this. We're outside of all of this locked up, cage us up, and control us with the Bible kind of stuff. We still want to be spiritual. So now we can explore other avenues of spirituality. And I'm finding that there's parallels in the Hindu religion to Jesus Christ, direct parallels. And we've seen it in this video. But I'm going to keep exploring spirituality because I believe that spirituality is bigger than we think. And I think there's a lot to learn just stepping outside the Jehovah's Witness organization. So thanks again to all of the other creators out there that are gurus and taking the lead in this. We do watch those videos and we're all learning from each other. So until next time, folks, keep living your life with love. Bye.